Oh, hey. Good afternoon or morning or whatever it is where you are.
Perhaps a family evening viewing?
We've gathered some wonderful people here to talk about this wonderful show. I'm Brian Roberts, the first of the wonderful people, and I had the great privilege of directing this little feature you're watching. And
And I am Mark Steele, and I had the glorious joy of writing it. And of course, writing it in Veggie World means I get the credit for it. A lot of people were involved. And I also had a hand in writing the songs. And we also have with us, ...
And I'm Leslie Ferrell, executive producer, who I just get to work alongside these wonderful people,
But we like to call you the Queen Bee.
which is really my preferred title.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's
But-
not just because you wear that striper t-shirt everywhere.
Right. We didn't know if it would quite fit on the credit roll, so we thought it just was more politically correct to say
Yes.
executive in charge of production.
so we're here to kind of take you through what it took to get this show together and get it onto, I was going to say film, but it was never actually on film. Get it onto bits, onto shiny little discs, or whatever kind of computer device you might be using to watch it.
Brian, something that is rarely mentioned in the audio commentaries, the choices for clips in that new opening. It's always interesting to me to see what was featured.
Yeah, well, we edit it every couple shows. It'll get another edit a few shows from now. But what we're finding is as we've gone further and further from kind of our roots of the original shows that were pretty crude, we've had to keep using more and more of the modern clips because like if you suddenly put a clip from Where's God When I'm Scared in the middle of that, it just really sticks out.
And for the sake of families, when you say crude, you mean the animation is less
Right,
developed.
the animation
Yes.
is more rough.
That's
or
what
less
that term
well rendered.
means in our
Because
world.
we've been at it for, 18 years? And so, of course,
Leslie, how
computer
many
animation has changed so much in that time.
And hey, look, has anyone noticed what's changed about our countertops? Can
Well, it's half
anyone?
green.
You're talking about the blue wall?
Yes, blue wall.
Yeah, that dates back to Pistachio when we got the new QWERTY and the blue walls.
Right.
We lost the throw pillows.
Right.
We didn't keep those around.
Update.
So this girl, this is Shohana Chapman, actually Stephen Curtis Chapman's one of his daughters. She was originally going to be the speaking voice of what's her name? The little girl in Meaningful Life. Help me, Mark. Emma. Sorry,
Emma.
she was going to be Emma Rhubarb in Meaningful
Darling
Life. But then they decided that Stevie Joy would do the voice of Emma and the singing voice. And I got to meet Shohana that day that Stevie Joy did the voice for Meaningful Life, and I could kind of tell that Shohana really wanted to be a part of things. And so when this countertop came up, I was like, hey, I wonder if Shoei would like to do that. So we contacted them and brought her in, and she did a fantastic job.
Perfect. And it's a girl title.
It's a girl title.
Special
yep.
fit.
Exactly. It kind of needed to be a girl.
Our champion of girl titles around here, of course, is Leslie Ferrell.
Right.
Yes.
So Leslie, what makes a girl title a girl title? What are the required elements?
Well, that's a great question. And the required elements are we have identified what are just kind of those universal to girls / women felt needs and makeup and drives and motivations because we are unique in our own way. And VeggieTales is just really committed to helping parents show and teach their kids the values that they want their kids to be raised on in an entertaining, hilarious, fun way, yet meaningful.
And I think too, with our girl titles specifically, we really, it's like any show can make something about being nice to your friends. Like even the worst property aimed at girls can make a show about how you should be nice to people. But I think it's really fun to get to do really specific girl messages that are really rooted in biblical truth.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, of course, everything VeggieTales does is we're faith-based, and what's most important to us is, of course, embedded in our tagline. God made you special, loves you very much, and in the same way, God has things that He wants us to know and help us to live by to give us our best life possible, a life that really pleases Him and brings Him glory. And so for girls, we're up against so many, societal pressures. And at VeggieTales, we really have a heart for just helping parents help their kids, and in particular help their daughters be all that they can be and all that God means for them to be. So this story in particular is just a lovely story. I mean, Brian, is it okay? And Mark, basically at its heartbeat, it says it's about two girls, each who want what the other has.
Right, and that they need to go into that other person's world, experience it to learn all the great things about their life and what they already had.
Right, and I think, Mark, you can speak to this. This is just that perennial, it had its beginnings in Mark Twain's, Prince and the Pauper,
Yeah, that's right.
that well-told story. And it's really timeless. Girls, they can get caught in that comparison trap. I mean, it starts as young as 3-4 years old and kind of goes throughout a woman's life. This looking at others to kind of say, gosh, well, I've got to have that to really be happy.
And I remember early in development, we kind of rejected that as the theme, even though that's like the really obvious natural theme to come out of a Trading Places story. We were trying to make it about friendship and about being a good friend. And we just kept coming up against this brick wall of that if you're telling a Trading Places story, really what the girls need to learn is about how good the place they already had was.
Well, I think the irony about this
it's funny that we fought that for so long and so hard.
That's right. The irony about this particular story is that this was one of those that we tried to go a whole bunch of different directions with it, and it ended up where it started. It ended up kind of full circle with the story that it was begging to tell. And it's not just exclusive to girls. We all struggle through those times of wishing that we had what someone else has, whether their life or their relationships, and to be able to tell that from the God perspective of the perennial veggie theme of God made you special, and He loves you very much, and because of that, He wants to show you over time what it is that is special about your life. So fun to do, and at the same time, it let us venture into the Popstar world, which it seems like little girls are fascinated with. And allow us to say some things there. Well, I'm not even going to say which pop songs I sing in front of the mirror when everybody's out of the room. But let's just say the Bee Gees are involved.
Yeah.
And of course, it was a natural to choose Laura as the leading vegetable character role.
Well, we toyed with creating a new character because it was going to be Laura plus it was going to be Princess, who was kind of one thing, and then the Popstar, who was another thing. And we were like, well, can we have two Lauras in a show? That's going to be weird, right? And so I think it took us some time to come to, no. So Princess is Laura, and then we'll have a new carrot who looks just like Laura.
Yeah, well,
they have to be the Popstar.
They have to be the same.
Right.
To be
Right.
Princess and the Popstar, Prince and the Pauper.
But just thinking about it, it felt strange, the idea that there'd be two Lauras in the show. In the end, it doesn't feel like that at all. They feel like two very different characters who just happen to look alike.
And
So, Leslie, do you remember this? I asked you to be one of the entourage.
yes.
And you were too busy.
Oh, I was so
And
disappointed.
you really missed your chance.
I know. My
I love
my
the
chance to be a
entourage.
star. I mean, who I really wanted to be was, Princess, but she turned me down on that role.
Right. Well,
So-
the audition didn't go very well, did it?
No. But I was going to ask our fans if you've noticed something that we've changed about Laura. For anyone that's followed VeggieTales for a while, Laura used to have a different hairdo.
Right. We made a brand new hairstyle just for this show.
But it's not unusual for a girl after that many years to change it up.
You have to change the do.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that all these years, her skin has looked like she had a natural fake tan glow.
Now, you know what I wonder is if any of the audience is curious about why Mrs. Banana is a blueberry and Vanna Banana is a carrot.
Why wonder?
Do you think anyone's hung up on that?
I don't think so.
Well, banana is not a descriptive word of what they are. It's simply the surname.
Yeah. So that's Rockin' Robin on the radio, which is, of course, Phil Vischer doing his Jimmy Gord
That's
thing,
right.
which just turned out hilarious.
And what is that little device called? We never say it in the show. But what is that?
It's a pea pod.
It's a pea pod.
It's a pea pod.
We love that.
I love these posters of Vanna Banana. I especially love them when Vanna wakes up in that bed.
Yes.
And she looks around and she's like, wait, that's me on the wall.
Although I have to say my favorite new character is, and there he is, Pepper.
Pepper Poppy
Pepper
Seed.
is-
Precious little boy.
Oh, sweet Pepper. We
Just
actually
beloved by all of us.
we had a really hard time with Pepper getting the right voice. And
Oh, but you nailed it.
well, yeah,
And
that's,
Leslie, you did Pepper's voice, right?
No.
I lost on that audition too.
His name is Logan White, and he'd actually done the countertop. He was the countertop kid on Twas the Night Before Easter.
Is that little blonde boy?
Yeah, the sweet little
great.
blonde boy. He did such a great job on Easter that when the producer David Pitts and I were talking about who would be good for Pepper, he actually thought, well, how about that Logan kid? He did a good job. And so we brought Logan in on our last night of recording, and he just nailed it. He was so good. He had all of us just rolling on the floor when he was supposed to be funny, and like literally making some of the like engineers and people like tear up when he was getting emotional at the end of the show.
That's great.
He's perfect.
I think it'd be fun for folks to recognize what I think, Brian, you did such a great job here, and Mark did in writing it, is you, at the beginning of the show, you really see the two worlds of Vanna Banana and Princess Poppy Seed, just how distinctly different they are. So it sets up that.
I love that turn right there where, like, you know that Princess wants to go see Vanna, right?
So you think she's going to win
and
the
so
contest.
you hear that there's a contest, and you think, oh, she's gonna go downstairs and she's gonna win this contest, and then when that phone falls, to me,
it's a red herring.
It really is a red herring, and I remember my kind of emotional reaction to that the first time I read it in one of the early drafts was like, wow, that's really cool. You totally surprised me. And so I just think that's a great turn right there.
Right, but here she is, the farm girl, living with a big family, aspires for fame and, cool clothes and an entourage. And we saw just a moment of Vanna earlier where she has that, big, pink, beautiful, sparkly bedroom.
All to herself.
Yet we learn that it's lonely. She works really hard, and she doesn't really have some of the things that Princess Poppy Seed has, and vice versa. Princess doesn't have what Vanna has. So you start to see the story form here. Here we go, back to Vanna. She's writing, no surprise, a song titled Alone, which is so touching.
Yeah, I love this song.
Thank you.
It makes me tear up
great.
every time.
It's great.
Well, it certainly was fleshed out tremendously well, performed tremendously well.
Right, we should speak about our
we
guest
can talk
singer
about
here.
Mariah,
Yes.
Mariah Peters. So we went on this exhaustive search finding just the right voice for Vanna's singing voice. And I was to the point where I was going to give up. I just didn't think we would ever find it. Mariah was literally the last person I auditioned after at least 20 people, weeks of auditions. And she came in and just blew my socks off. And then obviously came into the recording session. And so she had... she's got an album coming out, I think the end of this year, maybe beginning of next year. She's kind of new to the industry.
How old is she?
She's about 18 or 19.
Okay, so she
She's
affected her
very
voice
young.
to sound younger here.
We did, yeah. We pitched it up like we often do with our characters.
Okay.
But yeah, in fact we had I think 4 hours scheduled for her to sing, and she was out in 3.
Isn't that a great
Wow.
moment? She's
She's
overlooking
such a
that
pro.
playground
Yeah.
of kids.
Here's a fun little production tidbit. When she's standing there looking down on the playground, she's actually not in the hotel anymore. Because you never actually see the playground from the hotel, from inside the hotel. When she opens the windows, there's just white outside. And then when she's looking down at the playground, she's actually in that playground set with a few curtains in front of her, so that we wouldn't have to put the two sets together.
For all you budding writers out there, one thing that I always find interesting is we always have so much trouble trying to crack certain developments in the script, and then once it gets to visual, so much just gets lopped away that just kind of told itself.
What do you mean by that, Mark?
Well, I mean, just all these, there were so many steps to this meet cute, if
Now,
you
what
will.
is what? I'd never heard that word before.
The term meet
You
cute?
used it a few months ago.
Meet cute is a film term for your two main characters. Many times it's in a romantic comedy, but it's also established in many buddy comedies. It's the moment that you don't just fall in love with each character, but you fall in love with their connection. You fall in love with their friendship or their relationship. And so it's considered a very important scene. So it was important that this be an iconic veggie scene, which is why the seesaw, as they're bantering back and forth, the strengths of each other's lives works so well.
Yeah. And what I love is how these two girls are pushing each other's buttons. You know? Because neither of them sees what's good about their world. They're just talking about what they hate about it. And to the other person, it's like dream come true.
The very thing they've always wanted.
Yeah, to the point where you could actually, and we struggled with this. We had lots of versions of the script where we didn't really understand why the girls were switching. We had versions where they switched kind of accidentally, not on purpose. Because how could it ever be believable that they would switch on purpose? And so, through all that development, we finally got it to where it's just you really understand why these two girls would actually switch at the moment that they do.
Well, and we had to kind of overcome a significant hurdle, Leslie. I mean, if you remember, which was we had to make the conscious decision that this VeggieTale in particular would go to a place where some of the others haven't, where they intentionally do a deceptive thing, and that kind of carries the plot. And it's okay, and it works because in the end, they learn from their mistake, and it tells a very biblical, scripturally sound lesson. But it's risky to have your characters go the entire episode basically pulling a lie.
Right.
Right.
And I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that neither girl actually lies, even once they've switched, until Princess says, my name isn't Princess, it's Vanna Banana at the concert. Up until that point, neither girl actually lies.
But for any kids listening,
it's
if you pretend to be someone else and want people to believe it, it's not exactly being truthful.
We call that deception.
Yes.
So we wanted to keep the innocent kind of attempt to fulfill a longing, which was, of course, fulfilling it inappropriately, which is what gets taught in the lesson.
Yes.
But we also know, the trading places kind of template, has been used over and over because it is such an effective tool to kind of fit what a lot of those deep longings are about comparison. Is you think, if I only had what X person has,
right?
So
then I would be happy. Then I would feel content.
Because even in scriptures, there's a lot of conversation where in the Proverbs, especially where God teaches about the dangers of comparison, and it's a timeless trap.
Well, come on.
Hey, Brian, I did want to ask you about the creative decision, which I think is wonderful, to lighten Lunt's hair in this role of the security.
It was not a creative
officer.
decision, it was a production mistake.
Oh, really? It's very fun.
Yeah, well, their costumes in general were supposed to be black, but in one of the approval sessions when they were showing me things for approval, they happened to be teal and pink. I was like, oh, that is perfect. That's so poppy. It reminded me of like 80s fashion. And so we kept it teal and pink. But anyway, I approved Lunt's hair with a certain kind of lighting, and it looked good. And then in a different kind of lighting, it was too light. Something had happened to it, but because I'd already approved it, I had to live with it. But in the end, it works. So here's the silly song that Mr. Mike wrote.
Mike Naraki. Not the picture there to the left, but the writer of the song is Mike Naraki.
Right.
And this is just a fabulous song of rhyme, and we just felt like it fits so well with our girl's story here. And then to bring in the three pigs.
Right, the pigs in wigs.
Yes.
They are something else.
They're just terrific.
They look like something out of Les Mis or something.
Right, exactly.
Les pigs.
Les pigs.
Les
right.
pigs.
Pigs from the French Revolution.
Yeah.
They're hilarious. Yeah, so Tim Hodge directed this bit. I begged to direct it, but it was felt that I had enough on my plate.
Which you did.
I did.
People should go back and watch slowly all the things that Archibald is holding up, because they're actually quite funny in the detail.
Yeah, I like the playing card that has a king on one side and a pig on the other.
Yes. And then the dollar bill has Bob on it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't catch the bob on the dollar
Yes.
bill. That's great.
All sorts of little Easter eggs in this one.
Yeah. That's terrific.
Yep, and it's beautiful too. It was designed
Oh, it's
by
beautiful.
Mark Camelback at Boohoo. He just did a great job with all of the costumes and characters
And
lighting.
wonderful soprano high notes by our Blueberry voice.
Yep, that's
talent.
Megan Murphy. She's been doing Blueberry for a while now.
I'm silly.
She's a fantastic stage actress and singer.
I just think kids are going to love this silly song.
Yes.
It's very singable, and you just are mesmerized by it.
It does point out how Archie has changed over the years, though, because Archie did used to be quite the stuffy pants,
Our veggies grow.
and Archie is clearly,
I
as evidenced by this
love
song,
that.
not a stuffy pants anymore.
Now that we've established those pigs, we should use them in a future
Oh,
fairy
they're
tale
just
episode.
Terrific.
Right.
Love the arena there for
Yeah, it's
Vienna.
very fun.
Yeah, the
Vienna,
arena
that's
is a fun
fantastic.
set. You know, we wanted to create one of those kind of urban coliseum kind of
Love her
environments.
guitar.
Well, yeah, and a quick overall comment on the art direction. It's really marvelous. I love the Poppy Seed Farm, the concert hall. Everything just has a a new quaintness to it that isn't. I'm not saying it isn't in the other veggies, but this episode is a different visual than our standard town that we have kind of used several times.
Well, I think, Brian, you really captured, you really wanted it like you would often walk our halls and say, it is all about pink and glitter.
Right. Well, Vanna's world is. The poppy seed world is very organic, very natural, browns, greens, blues, very wooden and natural. Vanna's world is all glitter, all shine, slick and manufactured, and of course everything possible is pink.
And clearly an Elton John piano.
But I did want to show. I used the pink as a an icon of girliness, but I like how the poppy seed family kind of shows a different side of girliness. It's not just the pink.
Now, at this time in the story, you've already, as an audience, you've already started to connect with both of the girl characters and start to kind of build a fondness for each of them and what they feel like they're missing in their lives. But something else that's happening here, too, is that you're also starting to have some feelings about their relationship with their moms.
Right.
You're seeing how their moms are related to them as a supporter and as someone who's an advocate for them.
For Madame Blueberry in particular, that was a real balancing act in the script and in production. Because it obviously would have been very easy for her to become a very harsh kind of stage mom, pushy manager type. And we didn't want to go that far. We just felt we didn't want her to be unlikable. But we did want her to be kind of clueless as to what her daughter was trying to tell her.
Well, and that character evolution came fairly often from the discussions of, well, who's the antagonist? Who's the villain in these stories? And really,
there were definitely versions where there was a true antagonist.
Yes,
there was
a manager, and then at one point even the Blueberry character was.
Someone who was out to get the girls or reveal the deception.
But this is one of those stories where the villain is the wrong attitude in and of itself.
Right.
And that it is the thing to be conquered and overcome. And I think that makes for a really charming story. Yeah. All of our characters could come out on top.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love a good villain, but this show definitely works well without one.
It certainly does. And without water and fire.
What do you think it is?
Right.
Breakfast pie.
Yeah, remember the
Family
fish tank?
breakfast. I loved the fish tank.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Oh, sorry.
So you notice in the background there's a pie safe.
Is that what that is? A pie safe?
Yeah,
That's
that big
great.
punched in pie safe in the background.
So sweet.
Lots of little details like that in this set.
Yeah, I love the farm.
Right. If you look carefully, you can tell the only way that you know who's Vanna and who is Princess is the eyelashes.
The eyelashes.
So I
Yeah.
Well,
thought
that's probably the
a great
main way
touch.
because it's facial. Their skirts are actually different. Vanna right now still has her little pink pleated skirt on.
But more accolades. We were concerned in the writing if it would be clear in each scene, okay, now that they've traded places, will the audience know when it's Vanna and when it's Princess? And you got to hand it to the animation and the voice performances that it's really clear. It's always clear.
Well, I remember the first time I saw the final renders of the first shot where Vanna and Princess have switched places. And even I was surprised to see Vanna's voice come out of Princess's face, and vice versa. More entourage.
That could have been you,
Love
Leslie.
This entourage. I just love this entourage.
I think we all need to experience one day with an entourage.
Here's a
Right.
funny little production note. This hotel room is actually the museum, the art museum from Pistachio.
Oh, interesting.
But we kind of redressed it and moved things around to turn it into this kind of ridiculously over-the-top hotel room.
Another little note, that arena is the desert in Abraham. I'm kidding.
Yes, you are kidding. This was a joke with the glasses shattering, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work. Like, would you really believe that she was singing bad enough to make glass shatter? And I have to give props to our audio team at Paragon Studios. They really make me believe that she's singing bad enough to shatter glass.
I love that all of our band members are reiterations of our extreme redo
Extreme
post
redo
from several episodes
Crying
back. I believe
edition.
that was the Pistachio episode.
Yeah, that's right.
They all of our dudes.
Dude.
Leslie, can I hear you say dude?
Dude.
Close. Once more with feeling.
Yeah, the piano player is actually the only one to really have any dialogue. The other two mostly just only ever say dude.
Dude.
I think the guitarist says, "Dude, sing."
Right.
And that's like the extent of his vocabulary.
Yes.
But here we go. This is a great, you see a mother-daughter kind of moment /
It
relationship.
is. What's interesting for Veggie, though, is usually in that kind of relationship, the mom here would be presenting the right perspective, and actually, the Blueberry's got it off a little bit. She's not quite centered on what she's telling her daughter there.
But what I like too is that in the story, we see her begin to take an active listening part.
Right.
She begins to really want to listen to her daughter and to want to learn, which I think is a very realistic picture of what it's like to raise a daughter.
Yes.
I have a daughter, and that it takes parenting, guiding, instruction. And then as they grow older, we move into a seat of doing some active listening to really try to get an understanding.
Well, we even try to play that through the animation. Like if you watch Blueberry earlier in the show, whenever Vanna's talking, she actually doesn't look at her. She's always looking away, paying attention to something else. She never looks Vanna in the eye to listen to what Vanna is trying to say to her.
Well, I think there's a lot of nice give and take to this, where the mothers learn from the daughters as well as the daughters learning from the mothers by the time it's all said and done. And it is, as you say, Leslie, from just really hearing each other.
Right.
I think those are rather elaborate glasses to literally have no lenses that would help her in any way.
There's lenses in there. They're just hard to see.
They are super tiny. You need glasses to see those glasses.
Right. And I love what you did with the animals here. You know how they kick at different points in the story. That's so cute.
Well, remember at one point they were supposed to kick Vanna, and we kind of said, "Oh wait, we can't beat Vanna up," and so we decided to beat Larry up.
We
instead.
can always beat Larry up.
This is a great moment.
A very sweet moment
And
between mother and who she thinks is her daughter.
Oh, it's a great moment. And I think, the girls that are watching it can definitely relate to times with their moms late at night when they just have their mom to themselves, and that's when they really can speak their truest heart. And as moms, we can all relate to those moments that we try to create just one-on-one with our kids. And we look for those teachable moments. We look for those moments to really hear what's going on in their hearts. And that is this moment which you've just captured so well.
But I love that mom is speaking to Princess's heart, but it's also what Vanna needs to hear at this moment, too.
That's the other layer that I love here, that it just says that a good mom, mothering the way she knows best, can have an impact on any little girl.
We are
Yes.
grateful for the life that you have given us.
Such a sweet moment. And I love kind of Vanna's expressions, like here as she hears the mom talking about how even when things are tough, that we know that God's got us where He wants us. And that's like a big
both.
Vanna's used to being pampered. She's used to getting everything the way she wants it, and so that's a new idea to her that maybe not everything's not always supposed to be candy corn and rainbows.
And I'm especially a big fan of the fact that the mom had red lipstick on even
Oh
late at
my.
night when she was tucking
Don't
her
even.
daughter into bed.
If I could have fixed that, I would have.
But she's always wearing a do-rag. She always has a do-rag, even in the middle of the day,
It's her.
even at the
her
concert.
handkerchief.
It's a don't rag.
So it's nice. You had a touching moment with Vanna playing Princess
Right.
with Princess's mom. And here we're going to see a turn.
A turn for Blueberry.
A turn for
not
Blueberry.
For Princess.
Can I just say I love her sleeping in the top drawer of
Oh, it's
the
great.
dresser.
It looks like her bunk bed.
Yes.
Which was the point.
Appreciate
Yeah, so I love this scene. It is a bit of a turning point for Princess in that it's not until this scene that she understands why Vanna would have wanted to leave all this. And when she sings that song, she's just thinking about she can't believe that Vanna felt this way and feels bad for Vanna that she did feel that way. And of course for Blueberry, this is where she finally begins to understand what Vanna's
Right.
trying to tell her
Right.
about how she feels. And again, we get to hear this beautiful song. It's an interesting fact about the show that every song in the show is used at least twice. Many of them are used 3 times.
Well, this is one of those shows where we overrode. I think there were 4 songs that didn't make the
Right.
cut.
Right.
So maybe
At various
someday,
stages.
maybe the 20th anniversary DVD of this will release those songs. Who knows? They
Now,
were
you
good
said
songs.
Your
but it was
favorite
just-
one actually got cut, didn't it? You said Simple
this
Girl was your favorite.
this was my favorite song, but of the upbeat songs, there was a song called "Simple Girl" that was my favorite. But it got axed in light of we always try and choose the songs that nail the message the best, and I think some of the other songs just really nailed what we were trying to say more than "Simple Girl" did.
Right.
I did not know.
See, there you go. There's the turn. That's lovely.
I thought being a superstar made
Yeah,
you
she doesn't.
And-
Blueberry doesn't figure it all out here, but she does suddenly realize
She's really
that
starting
she's been
to.
missing something.
And it's lovely because, the one, Vanna with Princess's mom is in a bedroom on a bunk.
good night.
And here it's Vanna while she's singing, which of course is what only Vanna Banana would do with her mom in her big palatial bedroom.
Okay, so this scene actually is one that I added fairly late because we'd had a joke where Pepper sneezed egg onto Vanna. and
Right.
Later in the barn, he says, "I sneezed egg on Vanna Banana." But when we changed that to the eggs falling on Larry, that line didn't work anymore. But I still needed Pepper to say something there.
That was a perfect way to do
So
it.
I had Pepper say, Vanna Banana kissed me. And then it's like, well, we need her to do that somewhere. So we actually added this scene where Vanna and Pepper are playing together and she's kissing him all over the helmet. But, that plays into what Pepper wanted from Princess in the first place. The reason
Right.
he took her peapot at the very beginning was not because he wanted her to get mad at him, but because he wanted her to pay attention to him.
Right.
And so that's actually something a way in which Vanna is actually a better sister to Pepper than Princess had been being. And in my opinion, is one of the ways in which Princess will be a better sister in the future after this experience, because she'll realize how special this relationship with her brother is when she'd really been taking it for granted and spent most of her time kind of mad and annoyed at him. That relationship is really modeled on my own daughter and her little 2-year-old brother. If he gets within a foot of her room, she freaks out. He's touching my stuff! And just, screaming and yelling all over. So to me, that's a really kind of true thing about sisters and brothers.
And I love that in this scene that you can see that the mother realizes it before it is stated. The mother can tell it's not her daughter.
Yeah, as soon as Vanna starts singing, the mom knows something's up.
That's right.
And we even communicated that through the way that Vanna plays the guitar. If you compare this to the way that Princess sang the song in the first act, obviously she sings it better, but she even plays the guitar better than Princess did.
Larry getting kicked is always funny, and as a side note, it also helps kids not want to stand behind cows.
Which you should never do.
Which
Kids
you
should
should
never stand
never
behind
do.
cows.
See, it's a teaching moment.
It is.
You're not silly?
I'm not Princess.
Gasp. And the slow daughter.
You know what I wish? In retrospect, I wish that I'd had her on the old antique phone. That she was actually holding that, talking on the phone
That's right.
at that moment.
Playground.
There's always things with shows that you realize afterwards, like, oh, I could have done this and I should have done that, and
I saw that seesaw.
they say a film's never finished; it's just abandoned. And, that's definitely true. You could work on these forever and
Impossible.
never
The
be
only person
finished
Princess
or
wants to be
satisfied.
is Vanna Banana.
And I just never grow tired of how much our VeggieTales gang has such a great way of
Where is
being
Princess?
friends and family,
She's
and
at the arena, getting ready for
you're just so
tonight's
drawn in. I often tell people that working with limbless vegetables is just one of my greatest joys. They just are so able to take on characters and
A lot of personality
a
in
lot
those
of
oblong
personality.
devices.
Yes. So this is cute how we kind of, just the little touches, you just all this tension's built up to get and go, find
They
the
need to
real
get to the concert as quickly
princess,
as possible,
and
and
the
they
truck won't
Get
go.
in a truck that goes 2 miles an hour. So you can see all the time that's elapsed since they left. They left in the afternoon,
Right.
and now it's full nighttime, and the concert's well underway. Makes you wonder if things would have happened differently if they'd had a faster truck. Maybe they would have gotten to Princess early, in time to save everything.
Well, should we let him in on this so you can hear on the crowd scene? Because that was a masterful solution.
Which secret? Oh, about the
crowd
flashes.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was decided early on that even though we had this big arena full of people, that it would not actually be an arena full of people. And
Cost-wise.
so I kind of designed it so that if the camera was exposed to shoot the stage correctly, that anything outside the stage fell off to black, so you couldn't actually see the crowd. But the geniuses at Hoo figured out this cool way of filling that black space with these little flashes that would illuminate small areas of people, like little just heads and hair and
Right.
things. That if you were to kind of freeze that and zoom in on it, you'd see very little detail. but just as quick as it is, it looks fantastic. And that combined with all the audio, which we did a lot of custom audio of the crowd singing along and reacting and, reacting to what's happening on stage, that you really get the sense and really never doubt that it's an arena full of thousands of people, even
Thousands
though
of
there's
vegetables.
not actually anyone there.
right.
Veggie people.
Right.
It's a virtual melting pot. It's a stew.
So here, this is a painful scene for Blueberry because, she felt so proud of herself that she'd finally listened to Vanna and finally understood what she wanted. And now Vanna's like, no, you got it all wrong. That's not what I want. And
Well,
so,
Princess is
Blueberry's,
saying that.
Well, but she thinks it's Vanna.
But
so,
the beauty is that Blueberry could see the truth in those lyrics, even when it's not actually her daughter sitting there in front of her.
Right.
She really said that on stage?
There's Redhead Lunch.
Love,
Yeah.
love.
It's so cute. At one point, those guys were actually just random generic potatoes, and I was ready to cut them out of the show entirely because they just weren't funny. And then, very last minute, I switched it out to be Lunt and Jerry, and it just brought those parts to life. And now they really help make the show.
I just called you Steve and Rusty.
I love this whole thing, Steve and Rusty.
And then do you catch that later he actually says he's Steve?
Yes. So
He really
funny.
doesn't know who
Well,
he
they're
is.
very confused.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a ticket.
Which it made a little more sense when they both looked, they both were potatoes.
Chocolate.
Oh, I think it's funnier when they look that radically different, because it just shows that they have a cookie cutter occupation.
This is my favorite little gag right here.
I'm Princess.
The way that Vanna finishes that sentence for her and she says Vanna Banana.
You've got to come
That's
home.
really, it was great
I tried
writing
to
and a
be
great
you, but he was
performance
a
from
disaster.
Carrie Pasapia. So yeah, I haven't talked about Carrie and
Still on the
Rebecca.
way.
Carrie Pasapia has actually been doing Laura the Carrot for us for a few shows now.
I've missed you
And she's just a local actress who we first hired to work on Pirate Movie
Right.
to do Lunt's girlfriend, Ellen.
We traded
And then
places a
we
few
just kind of
days
kept
ago.
calling her back for little things, and then
Yes, Mom?
we needed a new Laura the Carrot and gave her the shot, and she just did fantastic.
I don't know what you're talking
She
about.
really, this part of Princess was really hard because she had lots of highs and lows and really required a great dramatic range and a lot of good comedic chops too. And man, Carrie just nailed her on every count. And then Rebecca Walker, who did the speaking voice of Vanna Banana,
No one does that.
I forget the first show she worked on, but she was Snooderella
I always wanted.
a few shows back. And then
Love that jacket.
Love the jacket.
Just had
Yeah.
to say it before it's off the screen.
yeah, I described him as being a combination of Rod Roddy from The Price is Right and Ryan Seacrest.
That's right.
Banana.
He's like, very cool and very tacky at the same time.
Has his little catchphrases that no one wants to hear, but he thinks they do.
Yeah. Whoopity doggy.
Whoopity doggy.
Little girl.
Sang.
This is all my fault. We should have never traded places. Wait.
But the beauty of this whole ruse is that in the end, they've all grown an additional family by
Right.
going through this together. That even though Vanna does learn to appreciate the life God gave her, she has also gleaned community, which is something else God wanted for her.
Yeah. And that was something we struggled with in development because we were saying, you should be happy with how things are. God made your life the way he wants it to be and made you special. But the truth is, Vanna in particular, she did need some things to change in her life.
She did.
She did need community. She did need her mother to listen to her and to understand her better.
But she did not need to be someone else.
She didn't need to exactly,
Yes.
and that's where the distinction came in. She didn't need to be someone else, but there did
Yeah.
need to. There were things about her life that needed to be better and to be more, more
Yeah.
the way God wanted.
God had made those transformations available to her, as
Right.
he does for all of us.
And this is just exactly how it should be, that what becomes the big turning point here for Princess is
Hinges
that
on the annoying little
Pepper
brother.
is in trouble and needs rescuing.
The brother she had wanted nothing to do with.
The
her.
brother she never had time for and just annoyed her.
I'd like to say that I love what Kurt Heineke did with this scene, going back and forth from that pop song to the
Yeah.
tense music.
We had fun with that.
It
so
was
he
really
actually-
marvelous.
He had to write the score to match the song.
Yes.
Because the song obviously was what it was, and so he had to match the key and the rhythm and everything of the pop song. So he actually fully produced the pop song and then fully produced the score, and then editorially we just kept cutting between them in all the right spots.
That rude crowd is still taking photos, even though the young brother is stuck
Is
up in
in
the rack.
trouble. Yes.
Well, that's because they need to twit pick it.
That's right. Can you believe what's happening?
I'm totally putting this on Facebook.
What would Veggie Facebook be called?
You didn't do anything
Go, Brian.
I don't have it. No.
What happened if I had
know
it
what that
made
is.
you lose that
What do you think, Mark?
I don't know. I'll have it once we stop recording.
Be my sister anymore.
Oh.
Poor Pepper.
Is what Sister Girl said actually true?
I have to say, Blueberry's a bit dense because at this point, she probably should have known what the the jig was up.
My name is Princess Poppy Seed.
She's a busy woman. She has her head in many places at once.
Because I didn't think being princess was good enough. I wanted what Vanna had.
There she makes her.
Love this
I
little
wanted
speech.
to be
She makes her
special.
turn. She acknowledges.
Confesses to all.
Yes.
And he made me to be me.
I taught her that.
And now my
At one point,
brother's in danger
she was
because
supposed
of
to
what
actually
I
take her
did.
wig off there when she says, "I'm not Vanna Banana." But I realized it just would have been too confusing because both girls' hair is exactly the same
Yes.
without the wig on. And so I just felt like it was going to be just too confusing to have two girls with exactly the same haircut.
Yeah.
And so it's just better just to leave the wig on until the end scene.
One of my favorite gags here, calling the pogo door, door, door.
Wall.
No, Dad.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Princess.
Yeah, well, because remember the last thing he said about the logo, about
Was that
the
it goes through
Robopogo.
walls.
Well, he said, "I've got to teach it to use the door."
That's right.
So if you follow that, then you're going to think, "Oh, he must have taught it to use the." No, he didn't.
Well, because he's Larry.
Right, he's Larry.
And I love that their final little intimate moment, even though there's these thousands of people in the crowd, can be up here where no one's watching and it's just the two of them alone.
Yeah, it's sweet. It worked out well.
Impossible, isn't it?
Of course, she's still in the headset mic so everyone can hear.
Hold on to me. I'll get you.
Yeah, that was
So
a,
here you've got, the girls have each made their own individual learns, the girls and their moms, and now a sister and a brother. They all have, kind of had their learns reconciled.
everything is restored.
Yes.
Very sweet.
But it's all very real.
Yeah.
So much what family life is, isn't it? And also just our own lives.
Really like to be a poppy seed.
So, and that's what we really want VeggieTales to be, a place that's a very real learning
Yep.
experience.
Well, I love that after all that, Princess still says, "I'm sorry."
Yes.
I think that's a really important,
Yeah.
important beat.
Well, what was great about this was she had to go as far as getting to the point where she saw the consequences of her wrong decision, which was the jeopardy that it put her brother in. And,
Well, and actually put the farm in jeopardy as well.
yeah, and that made it a meteor apology, a meteor decision.
Yeah. Remember, at some points we talked about, like, well, what if the farm's actually, like, going into foreclosure because
Yeah,
of this?
yeah, we had versions of
we
this
had
that would
versions
have
that were
probably
much
been a
bigger.
90-minute.
Right.
Right.
There was a villain. There
Full-length
was an
feature film.
aquarium.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's not go into the aquarium.
It's funny because when you get to the end of all those choices, as a director, it's literally millions of choices, for everything, is that character blinking in the right spot? Is that the right color? You get to the end of all that and you're like, well, of course, everything is exactly what it's supposed to be, which is a great feeling. Especially story-wise, to feel like, we worked through it all and got it all to where it couldn't have been anything else.
And watch, Cal's gonna kick the band member.
Love this song.
I do too.
One of my
You know,
favorites.
I'm thrilled with how it turned out. My only disappointment in having to cut down the number of songs was I had hoped we could save this song to this very last moment.
Yeah,
but
you
it
know what?
actually
I think it works better
it
than
does.
reprising.
It works out nicely to be earlier in this show.
Yep.
I just imagine a lot of girls memorizing this song and singing it, and the words just say exactly what you want to have
Blueberry
your
on the
girls to
pogo.
be singing.
Right.
And the birthday pie.
And in case you missed it, it's actually Vanna's birthday. The banner at the beginning said, "Happy birthday, Vanna Banana."
And she's only 5.
And she's
She
not.
has really done a lot for herself.
Yeah, and she's not celebrating it alone.
That's
Exactly.
right. Delightful.
Yay.
Now, is that the first time,
So there you
Leslie,
go,
that
Madison.
a carrot has carried our episode?
On the other side of the
It
fence.
is.
I do
think
believe
so.
it is.
It is
Yep.
the first time.
Take down the fence.
Laura the Carrot was certainly a big part of the Jonah film,
Is that another
but
anomaly?
obviously not the
I'm pretty
lead.
sure it is.
It's a real
Thanks for
standout
helping
part
me
for
clean up
Laura.
the kitchen.
Mhm.
I really didn't think about the implications.
It's about time. She's really paid her dues on that countertop.
Fast
She
drying
has.
tile paint would be hard to wipe up. Those implications?
And then our countertops are just so beloved, and they really, I thought this was really clever. Mike wrote this about using the grass is always greener on the other side.
But painting the
Of course, the grass is,
just paint.
it's just paint.
Let's see if
Yeah, that
Courtney
was a
has a
clever
verse
little
for us
twist.
today.
And I love that little splash of green left over
Right. Well, and if you watch, that's actually a footprint that Larry had
that
put
Larry
earlier.
makes. Yeah.
The very first time at the beginning when he hops over to QWERTY, he leaves this little trail of little green footprints.
Larry's so good-natured.
He is.
And Bob is so long-suffering.
Poor Bob.
Yes.
He just doesn't like being interrupted by the
Jeremiah
song.
158. Before I formed you in your mother's body, I chose
We
you.
always are really careful about the verses that we choose here.
That is right.
And we've often involved, we've reached out to church leaders and church educators to help us and make sure that we're really using the verses in the right context.
Yeah, it's very important to us that we're not
it's
taking
very
a promise.
important.
That we're not taking a promise out of context. You know, that was really a
Sometimes
promise
it's
to
hard
the,
see God's plan for
you
our
know,
lives,
to
but
the
we
to
need to
the
trust him that
someone
his
else and
plan
applying
is
them to
the
someone they
best
don't
plan.
apply to. Or
Right. So this is something that we really want parents and church leaders and teachers to know. It's just something we put very careful attention to.
And the plan he has for you.
And I bet you'll see the grass is the greenest right there on your side of the fence.
There you go, Larry.
Nice.
another little bit from Shelley.
I'm getting the hang of this anomaly thing.
Well, that's all the time we have for today, kids.
You know, it's
Always
fun
remember,
when you have Bob and Larry in the
God
right
made you
balance. There's
special
times when
and
Bob
he
gets
loves
too
you
cranky
very
with
much.
Larry.
Yes.
So it's important to me, like here, he never gets angry at Larry. He gets frustrated and disappointed.
You are.
Hooray!
And you know, if anyone
Wish.
wants to talk to QWERTY more, they should visit the new VeggieTales.com, shouldn't they, Leslie?
They absolutely should. We've got tons of new games, and it's such a push and play site for kids. This we're just thrilled about that Francesca
Battistelli, yes.
Battistelli decided to do. This is one of her new songs on her newest album, You Never Are, and the words are fantastic.
They are.
They just fit this whole show. And you just want to keep the credits rolling and dance in the living room around it.
Oh, Molly did a voice. That's so
did.
fun.
Yes.
She actually got
Office
to.
staffer gets a chance.
She got to do some of the voices of like the Poppy Seed Sisters when they were jumping around. We couldn't bring back the original actresses
Oh, very
because of
fun.
schedule. And so I was like, "Hey Molly, can you come over and just act like a little girl?"
That's marvelous.
She was a great sport on that. So many thanks to all these folks who worked on this, both at Big Idea and at Hoo Hoo. And obviously thanks to my producer David Pitts, who was a fantastic partner to work with on the show. Really, always making me look for, the truest, best way to tell the story. Mark, great job.
Thank you.
Paragon
Right back
Studios.
at you, Brian.
Thanks to everyone at
Fabulous
Paragon.
audio mixing.
Yep.
We're just grateful to have all this wonderful, wonderful talent that participates in VeggieTales shows so that we can bring to each of you, our fans and listeners, wonderful, hilarious stories that teach life-changing truths, that we can set young children on a path for a life that is full and meaningful and impactful.
Thanks, of course, to Mike Naraki. I mean, he didn't get writing credit on this one, but he's always deeply entrenched
Yep.
in all of the creative process and continual input and feedback.
So this was a fun one.
Oh, it was a great one. So to all our fans, you can know we appreciate you. We love you. We always put our very best. We put our full hearts and efforts in each of our shows because you matter to us and you matter to God.
Absolutely. Well, Leslie, thanks for letting me direct it.
Yes, thank you for doing such a fine work, and you, Mark, too, for your writing. We're just so privileged to have you both.
Well, you're welcome and
working
thank
with
you.
us.
Well, aren't we just a big happy family?
We are. Family
We
hug.
are,
Family
we
hug.
are. We're right where we belong.
You wanna sing it?
What am I doing? Singing over Francesca Battistelli?
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No.
That's right.
That's in the
right.
contract.
Co-written by Jason Walker. See, there it is. And
Bye.
there you are, Leslie.
There I
Yay.
am. Last but not least.
And thanks to all who watched this with us. Hope you have a meaningful life. Wait, that was a different.
That's a different episode.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We should say one more funny thing.
I'm out.
You're out of funny
A
things?
funny thing.
That's not.
Till next time.
Watch
Save him
out,
for the
Bob. Watch
script.
out, watch out, watch out.
Oh,
Found
that
the D.
always happens to him.
Woo, he made it.
Someday he should just have to go through the A just to surprise people.
Yeah.
See, that was funny. All right, bye.